Oh,
Nope.
there you go.
Pushed the wrong button. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Podfeet. How are you?
How I'm doing fine. Welcome to the live show, everybody. All right, Alan, it's time for roll call. Here we go. We've got Alan and Kevin and Bruce use the data, and Dudley, who is not Jason Snell. We've got Jill and Lindsay the daughter, and Frank O'Carroll and Jill, and NASA Nut, and who is John, and we've got Mike and Sandy and Michael, and who else? I saw Rose sneak in, so I know she's down here somewhere in the sidebar.
She is.
And I don't see any wheels yet. Jill, I did see that you sent me the text, and I just had no time to work on it yet. So sorry about that. I have not played with it. What I was talking about when we were before the show went live is I want you guys to look at this. I've got an interview from this week. It's about 13 minutes long, 12 minutes and 52 seconds. And I had it transcribed by otter.ai. And if you look at the screen, you can see how good it is now. And with this tool, once it's been transcribed, you hit play, and I'll be able to hear it, but you won't. So you see how it starts moving along. But I can hit the escape key, and then I can actually edit while it's reading. So I can go through here and change the spelling of a word, and I can hit escape and keep playing. And it's really easy to edit, but it just takes a long time to go through 13 minutes of text in otter.ai. So I'm wondering whether anybody thinks, wow, I would love to do that for the show.
When do you need it done by?
No, I'm just saying this happens all the time. There'd be times often where I need this. Like I've got 2 or 3 interviews for next week that won't have any blog posts unless I publish this. So I could just publish it as is and tell people good enough. But notice how it's really cool. It actually knows, once I told it this voice was Andy, it's actually put that in for me so you can see back and forth who's talking.
Well, I could give it a try. I'm willing to do it for one session to see how it goes.
Really? Okay, so maybe we could backwards do this one. I should have asked you about it. But you'll notice stuff like here, let's see. I said, and I'm appreciative of your time here and look forward to chatting. Or maybe he said that, but then all of a sudden it says cure. So you need to fix that. It's pretty good.
So what do you think cure is? Sure?
Probably, but you'll be able to hear it. That's the thing.
Okay.
When you hit play, you'll know what word it was supposed to be. So it's pretty easy to do. But you see, like right here, it says, yeah, that's Andy talking. So that one needs to move down. So you'd edit that by, oh, now I've caused anarchy. Yeah, you'd have to fix that. Anyway,
okay.
So now that we've got roll call and we've already done a sound check, we should probably get started with the show. What do you think, Steve?
Yes, I think we should.
All right, let me go and I'll hide this. And I've got some cleanup of the notes afterwards because I did put in some stuff about some stuff I'm going to say here, but not. Come on, there we go. All right, where is my thing there? Okay, here we go. Showtime, muting Steve. Oh, it's so good when that noise stops. All right. Okay, I'm just going to turn that down right away because that's going to bother me. Well, don't delete it. There it is. There we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, March 21st, 2021, and this is show number 828. Well, before we get into the show, I wanted to mention that there was a rumor that there was going to be an Apple announcement on Tuesday, March 23rd. That's 2 days from when I'm recording, and we haven't heard boo from Apple on it, so I highly doubt it's going to happen. But if it does, I want to remind everyone that whenever there's an Apple announcement, Steve and I really like to gather in our chat room at podfeet.com/chat with any other NosillaCastaways who want to come join us. If you follow that link, podfeed.com/chat, it'll take you into a Discord where you can lurk or create a name and log in. Steve and I are never on voice during these things, but rather we let everyone listen, and we get to play in the chat room, typing away furiously with brilliant commentary such as, "Wait, my feed froze. Can you guys still see it?" Anyway, if and when we do get an announcement, I hope you'll join us in our live chat room.
Do you want me to fix that typo?
Sure.
Right.
The listen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to change it here too, just in case I make any other changes. I'll be in sync with you. All right. And now, Bart. All right, here we go. I did the chapter mark already. I did it ahead of time. Yeah, I could drop them in and then just move them around. Not going to do it, though. Okay, muting Steve. Ed's here. In the next installment of our... In this week's Chit Chat Across the Pond, we have another installment in our mini-series on learning Git. No, I forgot to say it was... one more time. This week's episode of Chit Chat Across the Pond is another episode of Programming by Stealth. In this installment, in our mini-series on learning Git, Bart gives us some foundational knowledge on how to work beyond being one person with one Git repository. Bart starts by reinforcing what he's explained before, that Git is a peer-to-peer technology, which is kind of hard to wrap your head around if you're used to client-server relationships. He walks us through 3 scenarios to explain how every actor gets a repository and why. Then he explains the jargon of local versus remotes. It's at this point that my head started to hurt and I started asking a lot of questions, but Bart claims this is where I'm value added to the podcast. I ask all the questions you might have, and I suspect many more than you do have. But Bart sticks with me and he makes sure I fully understand. You can find Bart's fabulous tutorial show notes for this, of course, at pbs.bartificer.com. And you should subscribe in your podcatcher of choice to Programming by Stealth or Chit Chat Across the Pond. Either way, you're going to get this episode. Git? Oh, jeez.
Get the episode. Wow. Kind of filled up the page there, Kevin.
Is it bartificer.com or is it bartificer.net?
It's .net, I believe.
It is.
What did you say?
So I said .com. I had to write this ahead of time because of a mess. Oh, I wonder if that's in. Yeah, okay. So I need to redo that ending anyway. Fully understand. You can find Bart. Yeah. So there's nothing you can do to make that sound stop, is there?
I don't know. Nothing that jumps out at me.
Okay. Things are opening on their own. I think I have too many strange keyboard maestro things going on, Mike. I'm just having Windows just open, like just a web browser window just opened. And a minute ago, a Finder window opened on its own. I blame Mike. All right, muting Steve. Oh, you're back?
Have you put the chapter mark in?
No, because I haven't finished this segment. I'm starting to fix
okay,
the recording because I said .com.
Got it.
You can find this episode of Chit Chat Across the Pond in your podcatcher of choice, or you can find it by looking for Programming by Stealth. And of course, there's links to Bart's fabulous show notes at pbs.bartificer.net. Now I can put in a chapter mark.
He will appreciate that.
I'm afraid I probably put that wrong in the show notes. Yep,
that's
wrong.
That's easily correctable.
Too. No, everybody's already got it in their feed.
Oh, it's already. Oh, okay.
It's in the feed. Once it's in the feed, I can't make it show up in there. I can't fix it.
Unless they reload
nice. It. Yeah. All right. Speaking of, boy, I hate that sound. I'm gonna turn you down. That is so annoying. it's exhausting to listen to that rumble in the background. Meme Alive. There we go. I'll barely be able to hear you now, so you'll have to shout when you do talk. Okay, chapter mark, because Kevin demands it. There we go. All right. Okay. Stop being entertaining, Alan. There we go. All right. There we go. Ever since Mike Price started working on how to automate the creation of chapter marks into the podcast using Keyboard Maestro, I've been taking baby steps to do things with this amazing macro tool myself. I am definitely still on the bunny slope with this tool, but I feel like I'm starting to get how it can help me. I'd like to tell you about a few of the automations I've been working on with this fully accessible macro tool. Recently, Jay Miller in our Slack at podfeed.com/Slack posted a very fun invitation to the community. He wrote, I wrote a couple of blog posts around working with text and Keyboard Maestro. This seems like the kind of folks that may have Keyboard Maestro needs, and I have a couple of days off, so if you have any requests on how to do things, just DM me. Background, I'm a Mac automator and developer. Well, I immediately wrote back and said, you've unleashed a monster. I'll get my list ready. And I did. The first thing I wanted help with was a tiny minor annoyance, but one of those paper cuts that really gets to you if they go on too long. Just last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, I walked you through all of the cool markup tools in Preview. I use these all day long. The paper cut problem is that by default, Preview opens with the markup toolbar closed. I asked Jay if he could help me make a macro to have it open automatically whenever a preview window was active. He and I went back and forth a bunch of times in an open Slack conversation, but after a while we figured we were just annoying everyone else, so we capped out at it one-on-one in DMs inside Slack for a little while. He gave me a big boost, first of all pointing out that there's a keyboard shortcut of Command-Shift-A to open the markup toolbar. I should have noticed that because that probably does most of what I need. But anyway, it was still fun to play in Keyboard Maestro, and he helped me do a lot of the early heavy lifting. Now, the basis of his idea was to have Keyboard Maestro look to see if the status of the button for showing the markup toolbar, or to see the status of the markup toolbar button. If it was grayed out, that meant the toolbar wasn't visible, so it would trigger the keyboard shortcut. After we got that working, I discovered another problem. If the window was too narrow, the Show Markup Toolbar icon wasn't visible at all, so the macro wouldn't trigger. All by my lonesome, I figured out how to get Keyboard Maestro to measure the width of the window and resize it to the minimum width for the icon to show. I gotta tell you, I was very pleased with my little self. Now, my blind side as a developer is that I don't immediately think of all the ways things can go wrong. And it turns out I think that's an essential part of making sure there are not unintended consequences of your code. After I enabled my snazzy new macro, I started having all sorts of bizarre behaviors on my Mac. The weirdest one was that I couldn't rename anything on my server when using the FTP client transmit. As soon as I hit enter on a file name, which should have turned it blue so I could type over the name, it would deselect the item and the window would kind of jiggle. The good news is that I just enabled the macro, so I quickly guessed that might be the culprit. Disabling my macro allowed transmit to operate normally, so it was the culprit. I figured out how to get my Keyboard Maestro macro to only work when preview is in front, and now my precious markup toolbar is always visible. If you've done any work at all in Keyboard Maestro, you know that this is a tiny, teeny, itsy-bitsy little macro that's not very powerful, but I still felt like I made fire when I built it, with Jay as my fire starter. That spark is what leads me to my slightly more complex and super useful pair of macros that I did write all by myself. Oh, is he still whining about that? Okay. Sorry. A long time ago, I wrote an automator script to launch all of my applications that I need to run the live show. I wrote a second one that closes the applications for the live show. The script works, but there are things it doesn't do or doesn't do really well. It's really kind of scope creep from the original problem to be solved, but once you get something automated, you just start thinking about refinements and improvements as you use the automation and think, oh, it could do this and it could do that. Well, I'm also concerned that at any moment, Apple is going to abandon Automator and instead give us shortcuts on the Mac. In the meantime, Keyboard Maestro is independent of Apple's decisions in this space, so I'm embracing it. Let's review the full set of requirements I have for my live show macros as they stand today. First, quit all backup and syncing applications to minimize network traffic. So I want to stop Dropbox, Google Drive, and Carbon Copy Cloner, and all of those allow themselves to be disabled. Sadly, Backblaze, which I keep running constantly, does not allow itself to be disabled temporarily. I wrote to them, and the only option they gave me was to change syncing to when I push the button and then reboot the Mac. To change it back, another reboot would be required, and I'm not willing to do that. So Backblaze is probably running while you're listening to me or while I'm recording this for you. The next thing I need my macro to do is turn off Wi-Fi. Mimo Live, the application Steve and I use to broadcast the different video feeds of ourselves, and my recording app Hindenburg, that Mimo Live application does not operate well with Wi-Fi turned on, so I needed to turn it off. I also need to launch the 6 applications I use and open a Finder window so I can easily get to my listener recordings. Finally, I need to resize all of the windows and move them to the locations that I prefer. The Live Show's Over macro needs to do the opposite and a few more things. Needs to enable all those backup and sync services I turned off, needs to turn Wi-Fi back on, needs to quit some of the Live Show required apps. I don't kill them all because while I may want to stop broadcasting, I often still have work left to do in some of the apps like Hindenburg and Mars Edit. I launched the Auphonic website so it's ready for me to upload the podcast for processing, and I launched Feeder so it's ready for me to update the podcast feed to deliver the show to you. I was really surprised at how easy it was to replicate these actions in Keyboard Maestro and to make a much more reliable process. For some reason with my Automator script, toggling Wi-Fi was a problem. I could get it to turn off, but I was never able to get it to turn back on. With Keyboard Maestro, I used an Apple script I found on GitHub, and credited, of course, in my own code, not to toggle it, but to specifically turn it off, and in the second set, turn it on. This one may have worked in Automator if I'd done that, but I've moved on by now. Now, Mike Price taught me a valuable thing in Keyboard Maestro that I don't think I would have thought to go looking for on my own. You can group actions together and they get an enclosing box. You can also change the color of the background of the group and then give it a name. This makes for very well organized code where at a glance you can jump in and fix something. For example, I have a group entitled Launch Syncing and Backup Apps with a bright lime green background. Another touch I like to add to my automations is a completion sound. I know when I hear the sound hero, my Live Show's Over macro has completed successfully. And just because it's fun, I like to add an icon for my macro. So for the Live Show macro, I made it a flame. And for the Live Show's Over macro, it's a fire extinguisher. That seems logical, right? Well, I created both of these macros with a hotkey trigger, which works well. But then I realized that I need to run the Live Show macro every single week at about the same time. I figured out how to have it trigger at a time of day, but I kept my hotkey trigger so I can enable it at any time as well. None of these macros I've worked on are groundbreakingly clever, but since Keyboard Maestro users are happy sharing a lot, I put links to download my macros so you can see how they look in Keyboard Maestro yourself. Keyboard Maestro lets you import other people's macros with the File Import Macros Safely option. By safely, they mean when they're imported, they are automatically disabled. You can safely then peruse what the macro does, learn from it, modify it, and only when you're confident that you understand it and you're not going to damage anything, then you can enable them. My next target for automation is to fix what Apple most certainly thinks is a design choice, but I would call it a bug in Big Sur. Every Finder window and every Save As and Open window starts with the left sidebar too narrow to show the text of the items I have in my sidebar. Every week, I create a folder for the current week's NosillaCast. The name structure is NC_, 4 characters for the year, 2 for the month, and 2 for the date. I put the most current week's folder in the left sidebar of the Finder, and I usually keep at least the previous week's folder in the left sidebar as well. Sometimes the future week's folder is already there. It's not uncommon for me to have content that I push out a week, so I need quick access to that folder from the previous week and maybe to the future week. With this delightful change to the sidebar in Big Sur, I see 2 to 3 folders that are all called NC_2021_ ... That is not at all helpful to me. I've gotten a started automation in Keyboard Maestro that has already successfully widened the left sidebar to 220 pixels in Finder windows, but I'm still having trouble getting that change to apply to both open and save as dialog boxes. I'm having fun, and I may conquer it between the great documentation on the Keyboard Maestro wiki, the community who supports it in the forum, and of course, Jay and Mike. So far, I've succeeded in making really janky behavior on my Mac with this open save dialog box problem, but I don't know, I may still solve it. Now, you might be wondering if you should try Keyboard Maestro. I asked Bart if he had tried it yet. His answer was very interesting. He said that he's very tempted to dive in, and yet he's equally hesitant to try it. His reason for hesitation is that he's worried he'll enjoy it too much and spend a week automating a task that only takes 2 minutes to complete. I think that's a fully legitimate concern, and I guess everyone has to be able to manage their own impulses. I'm sure in a few cases I'm spending more time than I'm saving, like spending 2 hours writing a macro that essentially hits the keyboard shortcut Command-Shift-A in Preview, but I'm definitely on the steep slope of learning how to automate with Keyboard Maestro, so it's not really time wasted. Perhaps as I get better at it, I'll spend even more time, or perhaps I'll become more efficient with my time. What I can't say categorically is that my 2 live show macros do more than save me time. They create a predictable environment for the show. If I forget to turn off Wi-Fi, for example, my video will be choppy and broken up in the live show until I realize that I forgot that step. By default, my Logitech C920 doesn't have a way to store and launch with a good exposure and color profile. To overcome this limitation on the Mac, I use the menu bar app webcam settings. If I forget to launch that, again, my video looks bad, but with my automation, I never forget. When you're thinking about learning Keyboard Maestro, think about the things you do repeatedly that are not just time-wasting and annoying, but which are error-prone. Then let yourself get sucked into the madness. I'm sure I'll talk about Keyboard Maestro again as I continue on my coding and automation journey. For $36, it's already given me some fun and opened up my mind to how I can automate my Mac to do things for me. You can find it at keyboardmaestro.com. Okay, that's funny. I realized I forgot to... No, maybe I did it okay. My video does look okay. Never mind. I forgot to use my Keyboard Maestro, or my webcam settings thing. Are you there, Steve?
I'm here. Do you hear me?
I do. Boy, do I have you turned down low. I'll let you talk a little louder than that. What are you laughing at?
The fact that you may not have started webcam settings after talking about all this automation.
Well, webcam settings started, but I didn't go up to it and choose the setting, but I had messed with it with Bart earlier today, so I think that's why it worked. Ew.
Oh, that's from the movie...
what is that from? We've seen
Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think, is in that. Is that the one Arnold's in?
Oh, is it?
No.
No.
Total Recall.
Chucky? No, it is Total Recall. Yeah, it's the Schwarzenegger. That's not Chucky. Yeah, I had to stop the save as dialog box one because, man, it was janky. It was seriously janky.
I just got the error. Output destination has performance issues.
All right, saving everything.
But, yeah, go ahead and save. So far, I don't see it. Your video and audio look fine.
Okay.
So that's interesting. We're about 23 minutes in.
Okay. Mark, will you write down the time? And take a screenshot of it this time for Oliver, okay?
Of the warning?
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to do a chapter mark here, but there won't be a blog post. No blog post. Okay, I'm going to drop in that interview now. And look at my sidebar being the right width. See, it's the right width. Isn't that lovely?
It's
Today,
beautiful.
The 21st.
It is.
What's that?
It is.
See, I can open it. Watch. I'm going to close it. I'm going to make it too narrow and watch what happens. Ding! Isn't that cool?
What if you make it
kill those
wider?
GIFs. What's that?
What if you make it wider?
Nope.
Snaps
That's how
back.
wide it's allowed to be.
You can only have a one width.
Yep, that's it. All right.
Have you put in your chapter mark yet?
I have.
I don't see them. They seem to be...
It's right here. See that blue thing at the top?
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't have a list of them showing. And you can also see it right here. The yellow dot.
And it's a little bit small to read, but...
Okay, but you see the bright blue giant banner up here?
Yeah, I don't see a URL. Oh, because there's no post? Yeah.
Yes, dear. And it says no blog post. Maestro.com. Why is there no audio coming out of that?
Because there's no blog post.
Why could I not hear that? Okay, this is fun. Do you see how there's an audio track here, right? You can see it.
Yeah? Play it again?
Track is armed. It doesn't come out. Maestro.com.
You sure you don't have that track muted somewhere?
No, this is the mute button. It would be M if it was muted.
Try toggling and toggling back and see if it...
I just did. The S button. Ah, she's right. How did the S button get selected? Thank you.
Solo?
Right up here, that S button means solo. Yes. Thank you, Jill.
That's why you have a chat room.
Yes. That's why I have Jill. Maestro.com. Last week I talked on the show about tools and processes that have been... Okay, good. That's what I want to hear. All right. So, hit the end of that. Great. Thank you very much for coming on, Andy. Oh, I need you guys to listen to his voice because I'm going to talk about his microphone. Listen to this.
We can't hear it.
You can't hear it?
I can't on Mimo.
Can you guys hear it in the chat room? Jill can hear it.
Interesting. I think we've run into this before. Let me turn on Mimo. Okay, play. Yeah, that's weird. So it's coming out on Mimo, but not on YouTube.
You're kidding. That playback's not coming into YouTube.
Correct.
But you can hear it in Mimo Live?
No, neither one.
Okay, I can see.
So only Discord.
I am sending it to Mimo Live. I can see it moving in the sources when I'm sending it. So something's wrong with your Mimo Live.
Let me check Allison Hindi.
So does his microphone sound good, guys?
Try it again.
That's a headset microphone.
Huh. I don't hear it.
I'm sending it, and I can see it in program output.
Okay.
So I think this one I think is yours. Oh, man. I miss the Orville. When's it coming back? All right. Okay. I'm going to keep recording, Steve, because I got a long ways to go.
All right.
Good luck. It doesn't sound bad, but a little odd. Can't put a finger on it. But think about a headset microphone. If you ever heard a good headset microphone, and this is just like a regular headset. Anyway, I'm going to mute Steve, and I'm going to record. For coming on, Andy. Well, after finishing my recording with Andy about Site Improve, I told him that the audio coming from his headset microphone was extraordinarily good. I am not a fan of headset mics because they're usually tinny and they sound scratchy sounding, and they often pick up a lot of breath sounds, but his didn't. As you just heard, his audio was rich and full and had zero breath sounds. So I asked him what was the model, and I made him go find the box and show it to me. The model of headset he was using is the $250 Jabra Evolve 2 65. It's kind of weird. It's Evolve 2 and then a 65 after it. It comes in black or gold beige. It has soft-looking memory foam on-ear headphones and a padded over-the-ear strap. It comes with either a USB-A or USB-C Bluetooth adapter. You can charge with the included charging cable, or you can buy the charging stand for another $50. Andy said he charges it maybe every 10 days, and in his job, he obviously is on a lot of phone calls. And he's never heard it say battery low, only battery medium a few times. Jabra says it will charge to 37 hours of battery in 90 minutes or 8 hours in a 15-minute fast charge. The one thing I'd like to see in a headset is an option for a wired 3.5 millimeter connection for those of us who have cases where Bluetooth is not an option, like when you need to monitor your own voice when you're doing a podcast. If you have trouble speaking directly into a mic and prefer a headset microphone, I really implore you to look into the Jabra Evolve 2 65. I could put a link to that. Maybe I will. I think I will. What do you think of that? I can put a chapter mark to whatever I want.
Yes, you can. So that chapter mark is your comments about his post or his interview?
No, it's going to be a link to the Jabra so that people can get to it, so people can find it. You don't need to count. Well, actually, we will.
You mean as a chapter mark?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's essentially like a little mini review. All right. All right. So now everything is fiddly. Oh, everything is fiddly. Here we go. Lindsay, is Forbes ready to listen? That's not it. That's Forbes saying plinky plink. Where's everything is fiddly?
He is.
All right. All right, Alan, here you go. Let's see. 5.
Everything is fiddly.
That's the best. I will never get tired of that. Okay, I got to do an everything is fiddly. We may have to listen to that a couple more times because I need to chapter mark this. Oh, no, that was not the right keystroke. I just did F instead of H, and F is launch my finance folder on my Synology.
Let's not bring that one up.
No, luckily I didn't. Okay, so now I gotta go find the... I think Alan is your biggest fan, Forbes. Everything is fiddly. Dictation on my walk. Here we go. I'm telling you guys, next week's is going to be epic. Epic. Whoops. Did I mean to do that? Yeah. Okay, one more time. I'm going to go here. Start recording.
Everything is fiddly.
Yes, everything is fiddly. I dictate reminders to myself all the time while I'm on my walks. I wear AirPods, so I interrupt my podcast listening by saying, "Hey, S-Lady," and then I follow it up with "Remind me to," and I say whatever I want to be reminded of. Now, I used to say "Remind me to" whatever it is when I get home, but geofencing is really fiddly. It works maybe 30% of the time. So nowadays, I just pick a time when I think I'll be home for that reminder to go off instead. A lot of times, it's just to remind me to add it to a to-do list or something like that. This works remarkably well. Sure, there's the occasional typo, but usually it's close enough to help me remember to check on something when I get home. For example, last week I asked Siri to remind me to ask if I can use Git to manage Keyboard Maestro macros. Git is a version control system for programming spelled G-I-T. When I got home, I had a reminder that said, ask if I can get to manage a Keyboard Maestro macros. She had correctly captured the name of Keyboard Maestro, including the capitalization, but Git was spelled G-E-T. That's pretty amazing if you think about it. I have noticed that dictation learns the words you use often, so Keyboard Maestro was clearly a known phrase for me. I think we can forgive the S-Lady for not being able to tell the difference between Git and get. But last week, Steve and I walked to the beach and back, which is around 5 miles round trip, and dictation had zero idea of what I was trying to say the whole way there and the whole way back. It wasn't a word here and there that was wrong. It wasn't even close. Now, I didn't record all of the failures on that walk, but I do remember the very last one. I was listening to MacBreak Weekly, and Alex Lindsay was talking about augmented reality models, which are in a format called USDZ. He said that if you go to apple.com and do a search for USDZ on your iPhone or iPad, you can view these cool models in augmented reality. I wanted to remember to look at that when I got home. So I said to Siri, "Hey S lady, remind me to look up USDZ at apple.com. You want to know what she wrote in my reminders? Pay JF. JF Brissett is my editor over at Screencast Online, and I'm sure he'd love it if I paid him some money, but how is that even vaguely close to look up USDZ at apple.com? I rebooted my phone, and dictation started working again. So thanks, Siri, for proving that everything is fiddly. So, Steve, that's what look up USDZ at apple.com. That's what it was supposed to look like.
Aha. Now I get it.
And
Or
Facebook,
get
for
it.
some reason, chose that screenshot instead of the one that says PayJF. Oh, actually, no, I know why it did. I made it the featured image because it was more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, what's next in the hit show?
Little CSUN.
All righty, more CSUN. How'd you know that was could be CSUN?
Because I got them all listed.
Yeah, but it doesn't even say CSUN on the
It
on
does
the tin.
does in the blog post title.
It does?
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't.
By the title, the link, I mean.
No, it doesn't. It's called Interaction with Home Assistants for People with Dysarthria. Right?
Talking about the link of the blog post. CSUN.
You mean the image?
No.
You mean the image?
No. The link to the blog post is podfeed.com/blog 2021-03 CSUN dysarthria. Dysarthria.
Oh, the slug. Okay. I'll give you that one.
No, the actual URL to the blog post.
Yeah, that's the slug. CSUN
Okay.
dysarthria is what I wrote. Okay. I'll give it to you. I'll allow
You,
it. Just nobody ever looks at the slugs. Okay, here we go. I find the whole topic of assistive tech fascinating, as you may have gathered by now. I know a lot more about assistive tech for the visually impaired than for the other fields, and I'm trying to push myself to expand my horizons. At the CSUN Assistive Tech Conference, I saw a talk that was way outside my knowledge base entitled Interaction with Home Assistants for People with Dysarthria. It was presented by PhD candidate Aisha Jadot at Cardiff University School of Computer Science and Informatics. Well, I didn't know what dysarthria was, so I looked it up. According to the Mayo Clinic, dysarthria occurs when the muscles you use for speech are weak or you have difficulty controlling them. Dysarthria often causes slurred or slow speech that can be difficult to understand. Common causes of dysarthria include nervous system disorders and conditions that cause facial paralysis or tongue or throat muscle weakness. Certain medications can also cause dysarthria. Well, after learning the definition of dysarthria, let's talk about the problem Ms. Jadot is hoping to solve. We've all experienced the difficulties with so-called smart assistants when they don't understand what we're trying to say to them. I learned from listening to Ms. Jadot's talk that it is ever so much harder for people who cannot produce clear speech. This lack of clarity can be because their speech is too slow, or they have to breathe more often in their speech patterns and have trouble sustaining long sentences. Ms. Jadot's research is on whether an intermediary device could basically be a translator between the human and the home assistant. Her proposal is to use what she called nonverbal voice cues. By that, she means any non-word sound that can be produced by a person. Her theory is that if a person with dysarthria can make some sounds, such as a hum, whistle, or vowel sound, perhaps a dictionary of phrases could be produced that would be translated into questions for the voice assistant. She suggested the example of a person saying, "ah," and that means play the news. Or "I" could mean what's the weather. Ms. Jadot is proposing to train a Raspberry Pi to listen for the nonverbal voice cue and translate it to the correct command. To protect the privacy of the user, the Raspberry Pi will pass the command as text to the cloud service for Amazon or Google. The cloud service would send the command to the assistant, which would perform the requested action. She said that nonverbal voice cues will be decided based on dysarthric phonetic features and articulation capabilities in addition to target users' input. I'm a little unclear on that part. It sounded like she was saying that there's a set of nonverbal cues that most people with dysarthria can make. I have done 0 studies of dysarthria. Heck, I just learned the word this week. But from the description of the causes of dysarthria, it seems unlikely to me that people can make a common set of sounds who all have dysarthria. She did say they would be interviewing people with dysarthria to learn the sounds they can make. I'm sure she knows what she's doing, but I'd sure like to know if anyone else has more information on this and can educate me even more. Ms. Jadot didn't describe how the training of the Raspberry Pi would occur. In a finished product, I envision that you'd have an interface to the Raspberry Pi where you make a sound and then type in what you want that sound to represent. When you think about it, even without dysarthria, wouldn't you just rather yell, "Bah!" at your home assistant instead of, "Hey, A-lady, turn on the basement lights"? At any given time, one of my smart devices has a name I simply can't remember, so I think I'd really like to just be able to make phonetic sounds instead. Ms. Jadot's work is still a study at this point to see if the concept will work, but I really like how she's targeting a super important problem to be solved. And there's a typo. Her last name.
Yeah, there are several phrases I would like when I'm upset with my voice assistant, my S lady, that I like it to be interpreted correctly.
Steve, you don't get.
Can we have like translate a word to another word?
You said like if you just feel like yelling obscenities at it.
Yeah. I guess as long as I use the same obscenity, I'd be okay.
Right. If you can be consistent with your obscenities.
Yeah. I like to vary them a little bit.
Ooh, nicely done, Alan. A-lady. A-lady. All right.
What is that? What is that necklace she's wearing?
Ew. Is that like a...
It's like a Ken doll or something.
doll or something? Yuck. All right. I don't think I didn't write a support the show, so I'm just going to go right into security bits.
All right. Well, this is your last one, right?
Yep. 34
it's gonna
minutes
be a shorty.
And then an hour of security bits. No, 34 minutes and then an hour of security bits.
I meant a shorty in terms of live show.
Yeah, probably. I'm surprised. We should also note what time it is when things go horribly wrong.
Yeah, I noted when the output destination went weird, but it hasn't caused any abnormalities.
Well, you're not getting playback. I would call that.
I am. It was that one post. I just got half the playback.
No, it was any time I play. If I hit playback right now, you're not going to hear it. Well, it's that time of the week again.
Try
it's time for security bits.
I hear that.
Bart Shots. What's shaking this week, Bart?
I hear that.
In Mimo Live.
In Mimo, but I may not hear Bart. Yeah, I don't hear Bart. Why is it light blue and dark blue?
Oh,
I'm not hearing the light blue.
One channel. You're not hearing one channel. Hang on.
That's probably it.
Oh, and that's probably why you didn't hear the other one.
Right?
Why is that? You should write that down. Write down that you want to figure out how to hear stereo output.
Let me do a quick test here on Hindi, because I do have a left-right channel, and I've got left on channel 1 and right on channel 2. But I could switch those, or I could make them both channel 2 or 1. Let me try both 2 and play it again. Nope, that's not doing it. Let me try both channel 1.
I stopped. Hang on. I stopped. We're out of phase here.
Okay, I don't hear it still.
Okay, but if I split that, which I think is option 2.
Yeah, we've encountered this before.
What is shaking this week? I think Microsoft software is shaking and all.
Right?
Yeah, that I can hear.
So that's why you didn't hear him before. But can you make a note of that you need to be able to hear left and right channel? Would you write that down?
I don't know if I have selections that will allow me to do that.
But I'm saying, could you please write it down so that we can ask all
I got it. I got it.
Good. Thank you. Well, it's that time of the week. Okay, let me hear this side. Important problem to be solved. Well,
before you go on,
but more importantly,
I don't think you have a chapter mark. Yeah.
Oh, nice try. You taking credit for remembering that?
No, I did notice the lack
that's
of
good.
it.
That's good. But I noticed it right at the same time. Copy link. Copy. And chapter mark goes in. There we go. Oh, but now I have to do something else really important. I have to put the second part of my conversation with Bart because... Oh, come on. Why not? I hate it when it does this. It won't go to the end of my recording. At 15 minutes in, or 15 minutes from the end, we suddenly... Stop it. We suddenly had one of the weirdest sounding audio failures ever. Oh, come on. I should have zoomed back out. What just happened? No, that's not what I want to do. Command minus. So when I scroll, I don't have to scroll so long. There we go. So I will show you a picture of what it looks like, but I got to remember to put the second half of Bart in here. So hopefully, I'm going to smash this right up against it. I'm going to slide you right over there, and I'm going to split that, and then I'm going to Option T on that. And now that should be clean. An agnostic thing to do, I think.
Okay, so, I mean, everyone's like, this is a precedent, this is terrible.
Yes, add the chapter mark because everything is fiddly. Okay.
But anyway, stay patched so you stay secure.
There.
Are you guys synced up?
How's that?
Is your audio synced up? Go back a few seconds. Yeah, look, just play some of those interactive parts.
Operating system or text editor of choice?
That made me laugh so much because I was thinking to myself, given the audience for this conference, those last two are the most likely to cause the most offense.
Exactly. So anyway, that was my little contribution.
Love it.
It sounds like he's a little bit later than me. Why did you think to ask that?
I just saw some things that didn't look quite aligned, but I think it's okay. Maybe a slight.
Let's see.
Up and down, having full page ads in the New York Times. They don't need to.
Okay.
And that brings us on to cleansing our patched and stay secure.
That's cool.
So that was
so
the
I
first
think
part.
I think you want to delay you or advance him a little bit.
Yeah,
if you
but
can.
Then I gotta. Yeah, but
that's hard.
I hate doing that. I just hate it because then I have to go.
All right.
I have to
It's not too bad.
Yeah, because if it's in phase at the beginning.
So maybe we will get some.
Oh yeah.
Step 1, shine light. Step 2, deal with it.
The office of Senator Ron Wyden obtained, and then so that one I was talking over him, but here I'm later.
And the ones you leave ticked will then be installed from the App Store.
That seems like a pretty good compromise.
Yeah, I'd leave
I'm not
it.
gonna mess with it. By the way, Steve, you would like his palette cleanser. You know the pattern that was inside of Percy's parachute?
Oh, now I'm getting a delay. Interesting. Let me make note of this.
You're not... Okay, I'll just continue then. I thought you were going to...
Why? We need to document when this happens. Yeah,
Okay.
but this is the first time I've seen it. So it's 5:48.
Okay. I'm just going to keep recording. Muting Steve. All right. Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Don't forget to send in your dumb questions, your Everything is Fiddly recordings. We have a fantastic one coming next week from Ray Robertson that is absolutely epic. You can also send in your comments and suggestions. Do all of that by emailing me at allison@podfeed.com. You can follow me on Twitter @podfeed. And remember, everything good starts with podfeed.com. Do you want to become a patron of the Podfeed podcast? Go to podfeed.com/Patreon. If you'd rather do a one-time donation, podfeed.com/PayPal. If you want to join our conversation over on Slack, podfeed.com/Slack. If you prefer Facebook, we're there too, podfeed.com/Facebook. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Well, has it gone in the pooper while I was recording?
No, it seems to have cleared up now.
Huh. So remind me to tell you what I was trying to tell you. It's a thing about Percy's parachute, since you don't listen to Security Bits.
Okay.
Can I play
Well,
the audio, Security Bits audio failure? What's that?
I do listen to Security Bits occasionally.
Thanks for listening, and stay subscribed. That's a little intense. Bring that down some. Can I play that thing? Yes. It might be a little bit hard to get to, but I think I can do it. We've got time. No, I left it in Audio Hijack here. The first thing I'll do is I'll show you what it looks like. Let's see, okay, let's go down here. Oh, that's too much. Okay, put it up here. So do you see what a waveform normally looks like? And that's what happened instead.
That is really odd. What does that sound like? Or we probably can't hear
A
it.
little bit messy for me to give to you, but let's just, we haven't seen any sausage much, so let's.
Oh no, you're playing with loopback.
Oh, I am.
Did you by the way, did you save?
I did.
Good.
I'm going to add fission as an input. And so when I hit play, so tell me if you can hear, can you hear this audio? Oh, wait, I can't hear it. I got to unmute when capturing. Okay. Can you guys hear it?
No, I can't on Mimo. Let's see about Discord.
Okay, in Discord, can you guys hear this?
No. Yes.
Okay, so now let me move the cursor right here, and you'll hear what I heard. It's about right there. Okay, so go silent for a few seconds here. Still silent, still silent, still silent. Here it comes. Can you hear it?
Just some ticking sounds?
Yeah. And then if I bring it up to here, I'm not anything. Is that weird? It's going do 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 do.
That is very odd.
Do do do. Okay, let's go down here. Let's hear what this sounds like. Oh, that didn't sound like anything. Anyway, that was fun. All right. There you go, Alan. I hope you enjoyed that. Click, click. It's kind of creepy. All right. I think I am done, and we could actually let class go early. What do you think, Steve?
I think they've behaved pretty well. Oh, chapter count?
Oh, yeah, chapter count. Okay, let's see. All right, so I should have one more than you. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you should have 6.
I have 7 because I threw in the jobber link.
Oh, okay.
With the jobber link, I have 7.
Okay. Well, that might be right. I don't even know. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming. Bye, Rose. Oh, thanks for the chapter count thing, Alan. All right, Steve, take us out.
All right, we're out of here. Good night, Gracie.